Chronicle, the second, the absurd nonsense of the orange eyebrow. Chapter 1, 9 a.m, Saturday the 23rd of January, Heathrow Airport. You can't end there. What happened next? Venus crappily asked. We were waiting for our 11:30 flight to Nice, 5 days in the sunshine at the annual music industry gathering in Cannes, and a long-awaited meeting with Luke Hutchins, literary agent extraordinaire, to show him the first 5 chapters of the mysterious case of Billy's G-string. I should have thought that was obvious. The vicar carefully rearranged the table in front of him. I led them through to a rather messy room and gave a very impressive, if I say so myself, impromptu press conference. To give Richard the Bee his due, he had, as requested, succeeded in getting a number of hacks from suitably large international publications to watch the show backstage. There was even someone from Rolling Stone, but then we all have to start somewhere, I suppose. And you did what? Raid them to keep their mouths shut? Tut, 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 young lady. I would never do such a thing, no. I told them how we caught the man responsible for persecuting Billy G. But it was an ingenious sting, you know, I cut in. One that went horribly wrong. No, young lady, one which went wonderfully right. The vicar looked at the menu. Now, what does one drink? He'd recently given up drinking tea after reading an article about the harmful effects of caffeine. Hot chocolate? I'm sure that contains caffeine as well. He finally stunned the waitress by asking for a mug of hot water and pouring a little milk in the top as if it was tea. Earl Grey without the Earl or the Grey. More like commoner's white. Certainly not a drink for the likes of Lord Crappenley. He looked at his watch, who is already 33 minutes late. He raised an eyebrow at Venus as if to say, where is that husband of yours? I do hope that I do not live to regret the decision to share a villa with him, as much as I regret the size of a recent telephone bill. I tried my best to distance myself from any blame. After all, Lord Crappenley was my flatmate Harvey's father, and this grand reunion of old sparring partners had been his idea, not mine. So, what did you tell him about this ingenious sting? Venus asked. That I knew full well that Gabriel was our saboteur, but had no substantial proof. I had therefore contrived to catch him in flagrante delicto, as it were. But you hadn't told Punk? No, there is that. He was quite upset at the time. I avoided his amused stare by glancing through my copy of Music Week. Oh, Punk, please do not embarrass me by reading that rubbish here of all places. Do you not have a copy of Playboy that you can hide it inside? Look at all the posers. I would rather that the world did not know that we have anything to do with them. I looked around at the cafe, now filling to bursting with pilgrims joining us on their annual outing to Cannes. And might I recommend a serviette for wiping your hands and not your trouser legs, the vicar added, producing a carefully folded paper napkin from his pocket. You really are a very proud member of the Music Industry Club, are you not, my dear Punk? Yeah, and what is so wrong with being one of the lucky few going off to have a good time in the south of France, I thought. You were telling me about the sting? Venus was saying. It was most simple, the vicar said proudly. I brought Gabriel to Japan and explained to him how it would be possible to interfere with Billy G's radio microphone. What I did not tell him was that that particular one was only rigged up in the loudspeakers on the side of the stage. In effect, his virtuoso performance in ruining Billy G's vocals was solely for the benefit of those who were standing backstage. No one else heard it. Are you telling me that the broadcast was perfect? It's funny that you should say that, the vicar nodded. It is exactly what Breemore asked. And wasn't there a danger that the musicians would be put off? No, I said, still impressed by his meticulous planning. If you remember, he'd insisted on them all using stereo in-ear monitors. There was a commotion as 2 people pushed past us to sit at the next table. And what about the motive? Venus asked. Did you know why he did it? Oh, as if the vicar wouldn't have all the answers. Cherchez la femme. Isn't that what all the detectives say? Gabriel was the plaything of a bitter and twisted woman, the band's former bass guitarist, Maya. She had never forgiven Billy G for throwing her out of the backing band. Yeah, or for stealing her song, I added. It all came down to that jacket that Maya was wearing, No Meat, No Man, which she said belonged to her boyfriend. It is a song title by KMFDM, just like the t-shirts that Gabriel always wore, the vicar explained. All it needed was an internet search, a quick visit to Google, as I said at the beginning. It was all very simple. The Metro Cafe was continuing to fill up, and there was still no sign of Lord Crepenley. The vicar looked at his watch. Perhaps we had better make our way through customs. I do so hate to be late. I gathered up my printouts of the first half of The Mysterious Case of Billy's G-String and the photocopies of the vicar's business plan. In my haste, I managed to drop one of the additional photocopies of a certain part of my lower anatomy on the floor. Interesting, Venus said, picking it up. Yours? Yes, I mumbled, but it's not that big. I used the enlarger. Petty, don't be fooled by what they say. Size matters. She put her arm around me. And what happened to Gabriel? She asked. I'm not entirely sure, I said. I think it was up to Breamore. Ritual disembowelment, probably. Although the vicar had already planned a sort of punishment. He'd brought Gabriel one of those bucket shop special tickets that can't be changed. He was effectively imprisoned in Japan for a whole month. A prison without walls. And a large compulsory fine, as it would have cost him a bloody fortune to find somewhere to sleep. Yeah, you don't want to get on the wrong side of the vicar. Yeah, as I found out, punksters, over the next 6 days. We now arrived at the baggage control, where they, of course, pulled me to one side and gave me a quick frisking. What is it with these customs officers? Do I look like a terrorist, or do they all fancy me? So, what about Kevin and Emma? Venus asked as we reached the departure lounge. I bet they were just banging each other in the back of that priest hall of theirs. Yeah, how come everyone saw that but me, I said. The vicar apparently twigged that on very early. He found a corner of a condom wrapper jammed in between the two loudspeaker cabinets. Not an essential musical accessory, you might say, and not a good advert for condoms, as it turned out that Emma was actually pregnant. That must have been the baby she had a couple of weeks ago. I read about it in the paper. Small world. To think you were almost there at the conception. The sad thing, the vicar said as we walked towards the plane, is that Maya had picked the wrong pony, so to speak. It was her friend, Emma B, not Billy G, who wanted her out of the band. It may have been Billy, as band leader, who broke the news, but the deed had Emma's fingerprints all over it. After all, she is the one who, how shall I put this, was hot for Kevin, and I rather suspect that the writer Ernest Broom, who ripped off Maya's song, will also turn out to be the less than ethical Emma. Venus looked at him dubiously. Emma B and Ernest Broom? Do you not spot anything? It was Emma, not Billy, that listened to Maya's tape and stole the song. Although, of course, when the band folded, it was Billy who unwittingly released it. What a mess. The vicar shrugged his shoulders. Absalom hath kissed her bottom's eye, and Nicholas is scolded in the butt. This tale is done. God save us all. And we got onto the plane, where fresh excitements awaited us. To be continued. That boy's not good. He's got ears the size of diamonds, broken nose and a twisted face, with a voice that... Mr. Mitchell, I'm Giles Clapperley, not Clapwell or Clapperlot, or any of the other names that a vicious and vindictive press have tried over the years. He walked really slowly towards us, as if he was deliberately trying to scare me. I tried to warn the vicar, but it was impossible to wait, and he had his legs jammed in such a way that I couldn't get out of my seat. All the while, the orange eyebrow came closer and closer.